Problem 18, lot to do today. Again, the assignment today, we're actually going to do 2 assignments. One in class like we've been doing, sort of easy. We're probably going to do it together. Then the other one, I think it's going to be due before you leave again. And it's not really a long assignment, but it's on like 3 different pages. Number 18 said, find Lindsay Rimson's total deposit for 2 checks. Open up your book so I don't have to try to read that, because otherwise I got to go back and get my glasses.
What number?
18. So we're doing our total deposit. Just read off the stuff to me and we'll figure it out.
For 2 checks of $112.54 and $453.24 and cash of 3 $1 bills. 4 $5 bills.
Hold on. 3 $1, so
$3.
right.
4 $5 bills.
That's $20.
$20. 7 $10 bills, so $70.
Have your calculators out.
15 quarters.
15 quarters, let's see. 15 quarters would be, what, 12 quarters is $3, right? So 15 would be $3.75.
Yeah. 12 dimes, which would be
$1.20.
34 nickels, which would be
Let's just come over here and do this real quick. 34 times 0.05 is 20, 15, $1.70.
64 pennies, which is 64 pennies, 64 cents. And then less $10 cash received. Whatever that means.
So that means she wants $10 to do what with? To
Keep.
put in her pocket for spending money, whatever. What are we gonna do with all these? Add them all up. Somebody help me out, add all those up.
666 and 7 cents.
666 and 7 cents.
Yeah.
Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Now what are we gonna do with the $10?
Subtract it.
So subtract it from that, what do you end up with?
656.
What's 656.07?
Total deposit.
Or how much she's actually trying to deposit into the bank, or whatever she's deposited in. I didn't read the whole problem.
It doesn't say.
That should be your answer. It doesn't say where she's deposited at.
Just total deposit for 2 checks.
That's today's count. So it doesn't say where she's depositing.
Yeah.
She might be depositing in that mason jar, burying it out in her backyard.
Yeah, right.
Anybody know who does that?
You.
Huh? Pablo Escobar.
I forget where it was.
Grandparents.
Your grandparents did it. Nobody ever listens to any music. Anybody know who Charlie Daniels is? Nobody's ever listened to The Legend of Woolly Swamp? The guy that buries all his money out in the woods, and they go out and they kill him for it.
That sounds familiar. Sounds like a whole bunch of movies.
Lucius Clay. That was his name. Other questions? Pretty easy stuff. Stuff today I have a little more trouble with. I don't know, you might think it's easy, but what we're actually going to do today is reconcile a bank statement. All right, and what all that means, reconcile is just sort of a big fancy word for, again, you guys are too young for this, but when I was growing up, my mom would say she's going to balance her checkbook. And what balancing it means is match it up with what the bank has to make sure that you're matching up. And that's what we're going to do today.
That sounds pretty easy.
It's not too bad, but It's just different. Alright, these are the notes for today. Give you a second. Write down what you think you need to write down, that's up to you. I'll, a whole bunch of this,
Are you gonna,
sorry.
are you gonna,
They're, if I ever finish them, I think I forgot to do you guys' class. I sent an email with them.
The what?
I will send an email.
I was just getting those earlier than I mentioned or something.
I mean, there's paper and stuff up here, you know, we just want the paper. So bank statements, just statement from the bank. Most banks, again, and you'll see the stuff that, some of the stuff that we're gonna do today is you're going to actually balance my checkbook for me. So, actually, it's the school's checkbook, it's not mine. Better not say that somebody will think that I'm using that money. So you're gonna balance the checkbook that I get from the, or that I have through the school. And most of this stuff is online now. And that makes it hard for me, because I hate getting on the bank's website. And if you deal with any banks, they want you to change your password like once every 2 months, and for safety reasons. And when you change your password, you gotta go through,
A different password.
you gotta go through all kinds of hoops and stuff. And what was your mother's maiden name, and what was the town you were born in, what was your first job, what was your high school's mascot. So, you know, they ask you all these different questions to make sure it's you, so that people aren't stealing your identity. And it's a pain in the butt, because usually after a month, I forget which one of these questions did I answer, where, you know, which thing did I put down, who was my best friend in high school, or which person did I write down this time. It's a pain. But, so your bank statement, most of them, again, it's electronic, and you'll see, one of the papers that you're gonna look at is the electronic statement for the school stuff. Service charges, you gotta really watch with service charges. Because if you have a checking account, and they're gonna charge you some kind of service charge all the time. So, you might think that you have $100 left in your account. It might not be $100, depending on what service charges they're charging you. My banking account, my personal one, is through US Bank. And there must be 10 different service charges that they charge us. Now, we're considered a gold member. Ooh, I'm special. Because we have, and I told you guys this before, we have our mortgage through them, we have our car loans through them, a second mortgage through them, an equity loan through them, so on and so on. We got all this different stuff through them. So they charge us all these service charges, and then at the end of the month, they take them all away, because we're special and we're a gold member. Which seems like a stupid thing to do. They charge you, and it's not stupid for them, because it makes them think, look how nice we're treating you. No, you're not treating us nice, you're still using our money. Seems like we're treating you pretty nice. But so you gotta watch out, a lot of service charges. One of the service charges you'll see on the one I'm gonna give you is a paper charge. And they charge you a paper charge if you want it mailed to you. If you want your statements mailed to you, they're gonna charge you some kind of charge. Now, when it's mailed to me, I can actually look at the paper and line stuff up a whole lot easier. When it's on there electronically, it makes it a little more difficult for me. Might not for you, maybe, you know, you can use the computers better than I can, that's fine. But one of the service charges is just a paper charge, it's like $1. So they charge me $1 a month to have it sent to me so that I can look at it.
Can you just print it off your computer?
Yeah, you can, sorta. It's better now. See, a couple years ago when they first started making me do this, and you try to print it off, it didn't work very well. Now they got it set up to where when you print it off, it looks more like a PDF form, and that's what you're gonna see of mine. So it's quite a bit better now. The problem I have is I have to go on there and look at it once every 2 weeks. At least once every 2 weeks. If I don't go on there at least once every 2 weeks, they lock up the account. And when they lock up the account, I gotta go in and change the password and do all this other stuff and remember everything that I stuck in there. And usually I can't, and I gotta call them and say, hey, my account's locked up again, this is ridiculous. I went through this all the time, and the last woman finally, she was sort of blunt with me and said, you just gotta remember to go in there every couple of weeks.
Why is that a thing?
That's all there is. Because they're trying to make it so that you're not just, your accounts, your ID and stuff isn't getting stolen or anything, and nobody else is messing with your account. So they're trying to make sure it's you all the time. Some accounts too, not so much a checking account, but if you have a savings account, and when we get to savings accounts and CDs and stuff like that, we'll talk about it. My son, my mother-in-law, made an account for my oldest son when he was first born. And then she would put in like $100 every so often. Birthdays, Christmas, stuff like that, she'd put in $100 for him. My mother, and she did this all the time. My mother-in-law passed away. The only person who could get into that account was my mother-in-law. And when she passed away, my son was like 17 years old or 16 years old. So he couldn't even get into the account yet, even though his name was on it. So she passed away, nobody could get into the account. Usually if you have an account like that, if you take a death certificate in and show the bank, then they'll let you get into it and stuff. For some reason, this one, they wouldn't let us in. So the account sat there dormant for 2 years till my son turned 18. When an account goes dormant, what credit unions and banks do is they start taking money out of it. They start charging you. They start charging him like $50, $75
Jeez.
per month that it was sitting there dormant. By the time we actually got in there and got the account closed, the account had like, it was like $120 in it. And it was in the thousands when it started out.
You should have.
And so I'm sure that there's probably some way we could have hired a lawyer and went in and did some things, but
What about if you kept putting money in it?
if you kept putting money in it, then it wouldn't have been dormant. So that's probably what we should have done.
Like even $5.
Right, because, and that's what I do, the savings account that I have along with the checking account for the school, that one goes dormant all the time because I don't do anything with it, it just sits there. It's just a savings account that the teachers keep there just in case anything stupid happens. When I was in school here, the teachers went on strike, okay? And they were out for several months. And so they made this savings account so that if that ever happens again, they can have money to help the teachers out when they're not getting paid. So that savings account just sits there, so every so often I have to go in and take out $50 and then stick $50 back in it, just so it doesn't go dormant and they don't start taking money from it. On this, not hard to do, present balance, whatever that present balance is, you take the previous balance, we did this last time, plus any deposits, minus any withdrawals, minus any service charges, and plus any interest. We've done all this already. Please remember that service charges, money they're taking from you, interest is money that they are given to you, right? Most checking accounts now won't have interest added,
Just saving.
just savings. And that's not very much anymore.
Like 2%.
Right, it's not even 2%, it's like it's like, it's 0.2%, right?
I get like a penny every 6 months.
Right. I think on the savings that we have, I think I get, it's got like $6 or $7, $8,000 in there or something. And I think, each month now, I get like 7 cents or something. And they were messing up, and I didn't say anything for a long time. For about a year, I was making like $1 a month on it. And then all of a sudden, it went from $1, like $1.12 each month. It dropped down to like 7 cents. And then I called them and I said, hey, how come this went from $1.12 to 7 cents interest each month? And nobody could explain it to
Did
me.
they charge it or try to charge you?
I don't, if they did, they never told me about it. They may have went back in there and took their money back, I don't know. Reconcile. Reconcile just means to balance it, to compare what you have with what the bank has. Also, you gotta be careful. I hear on the news all the time, I think I heard a story this morning or yesterday morning. Somebody went to their checking account, checked their balance and stuff, and all of a sudden they had like $120,000 in the account.
Heck yeah, I would pull everything out.
And you gotta make sure, Dylan, if you're gonna do that, make sure you pull it out and then you go to Mexico or somewhere, because they're gonna look you up, and that's
Well, it's in your bank account.
major, major jail time. So, if you screw up, the bank's gonna say, oh well. If they screw up, they know oh well about it, they're gonna get their money back.
Wait, if you screw up, you get punished, but then if they screw up, they don't know.
Right. So if they put extra money in your account, Seth,
Yeah.
and you take it, hey, I get lucky today, and you take it out and spend it, no, they're gonna come looking for you and get their money back.
Why is that even a thing?
When you're doing stuff electronically a lot, sometimes Elijah's working at the bank and he hits an extra 0 or 2 when he's punching in numbers.
He's gonna get fired.
Right, he's probably gonna get fired, but the bank is gonna get their money back. So to reconcile it, that's what we're gonna do here in a minute. You're just comparing what your register, what your records say, compared to the statement that you're getting from the bank. Anybody here, did somebody win that lottery?
Person in California.
Some person in California? Was it just one person?
There was a couple, but like the one that won in Ohio, but he only got like $1 million.
But not the big prize? There was just, I wanted to look it up, just for my prop stats class, I wanted to look it up, because we were figuring out, and it was, what was it? I gotta think now.
Even if they tax out, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah,
After tax, like 1.2.
I don't know.
Less than a billion.
We could figure it out here in a second, but
That's still over.
when it was 1.9, there was a chance that it might have been worth it to go out and actually buy all the numbers. Especially if only one other person won it. When it was 1 billion, the cash payout was only gonna be, it was only, when we looked up online, the cash payout was only like 400 million. Well, to buy all the numbers, it cost you like 529 million.
Jeez.
So it wouldn't have been worth it to do it then, but when it was 1.9, if you were the only one to win it, you could actually made money on it. And I can't remember, I don't know what the cash payout was. So I thought I heard somebody say it was like 900 million.
I think it was like
That's so-
700 million.
700 million. So you could have made, So you could've made like $200 million if you bought every number.
I ain't got that money.
Well, see, that's the problem, most people don't have enough money to buy every number.
But imagine if you bought all that and lost it all.
Yeah. Or imagine if you bought all those numbers and then 15 people had to split it, and boy, you'd be upset then, wouldn't you? Your adjusted balance with this is more, rather than just a formula here, this is more to tell you what you gotta look out for. With an adjusted balance, you look at your statement from the bank, see what it says, how much money you have in the account, and then you gotta compare and see what outstanding checks you have. In other words, what checks have you paid out that the bank hasn't gotten back yet? All right? And or any debits or deposits that you may have put into the account that aren't in there yet. Again, we talked a little about this. If you go put, and some banks are different, and hopefully your bank is pretty much on it, but if you put in a deposit in the bank, that might not show up right away. So it might not be on that statement right away. Now here's where you gotta be careful with this. You look at your adjusted balance, you got your statement balance, that's what they're telling you have. Sometimes you're gonna wanna add the outstanding checks, sometimes you're gonna wanna subtract, depending on which way you're looking at it, alright? If you're looking at it like this is saying right here, take your statement balance minus those checks that you know you've written that still aren't to the bank. If we're looking at our register, then we look at the bank statement. We're probably gonna subtract off those from the bank, or I'm sorry, add those on because we're going the other way.
Yeah.
So it's sort of backwards and you gotta be careful.
That's what messes you up, like, if a check hasn't went through and you subtract it off your,
Right.
you got less money, but if you look in the bank, you have more money.
And again, I think I said last time, my wife gets mad all the time. We pay out $500-600 to my son's baseball teams, and those coaches just hold that check, because like she has told me here a couple nights ago that she had to pay $600. Well, baseball season doesn't start for 3 months. So that coach has just got all those checks laying there somewhere, doing nothing with them.
That ain't really a good idea.
But and some you gotta be careful with that, because some banks, there was a while there, if you didn't cash a check within 30 days, they wouldn't honor it anymore.
Yeah.
It would be no good.
It just depends if it's a personal or business
Right.
too,
I know when I was working at the convenience store, there was a couple of times, because I'd just bring my checks home and lay them down somewhere and wouldn't go cash them right away. And there was a couple of checks that got thrown in the trash because nobody would cash them. So I worked for a week for nothing.
Can you go back and normally another check to restore?
You might be able to if your business likes you enough, I guess.
Like one time I lost a check, Grandma and Grandpa's check. It was like 6 months later. I was like, it was shoved in papers. Grandma and Grandpa, can you run me another check? They never got cash. It was like $600 check too.
So online banking, again, most banking now is online. You can view your account online. My wife pays just about all of our bills online. There's a couple of bills still that want paper, actually want a check, not many. Most of them now will even, if you do everything online, they'll give you a break on your bill. They say they're giving you a break, it's not really a break. If you pay them using a paper check, they charge you extra money. So if you pay them online, they don't charge you that extra money. So, a lot of, I know like, Dish Network and, DP&L, those companies, if you pay it online, then they don't charge you. If you don't pay it online, if you want a paper bill and you send them a paper check, then they charge you an extra fee. Transferring money online, at least once every couple of months, my wife tells me I had to transfer money from one account to the other because you are spending too much. And I don't ever ask because I don't want to get in trouble, but my question should be, what other account do we have? So she's got a couple of her own accounts that she keeps.
Don't ask that.
Right, that just gave me more trouble.
Good.
You always ask questions and the wife's always mad. Always mad about something.
This, again, same idea. Rather than this being an actual formula, just know what you're doing. Oops, switched on me.
Yummy.
Basic monthly charge plus bill payments plus statement, ATM service charges, cash advance service charges. These are all just different charges. To get your total service charge, you're just gonna add up all the charges that the bank has.
Just choose
it. Every bank's a little different, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just like an ATM machine, you go to one place, ATM machine could charge you $1. I went to one the other day and it charged 50 cents. Couldn't believe it.
$1.75 to do math. So
Right. Some of them are back up to $2 or $3 now.
I mean, if you think about it, sometimes it doesn't cost that much if you have to drive all the way to Greenville or something.
Well, it depends on what you're doing too. If you're just drawing out $20,
Oh, yeah.
and they charge you $3,
23.
somebody help me. What's 3 divided by 20?
3 divided by 20 is 15 cents.
0.15? So what percentage are they charging you?
15% of it.
15%.
That's why, like, if I do that, I'll just pull 100 out.
Right,
Or
and
something.
that would be smarter. If they're gonna charge you $3, then you should draw out more because you're getting the same.
3 divided by 100 is only
That's-
0.03.
So that's 3% then.
Which ain't terrible if you think about it.
Right.
But $20 every time. Cause that, like New Madison, you can only pull 200 out, and then you gotta get charged another.
And some banks with your ATMs will only let you pull out $200 per day. You gotta be careful of that, know what your account will allow you, and if you're running some kind of business or something, then, and you need to pull out thousands of dollars when you're out on the road or something, then you gotta have that set up with your bank.
Yeah.
Cause I think my ATM, or my check card will only let me pull out $200 per day, and that's it.
I think mine will let me pull like 6, but I need to start putting at like 200. But then it's crazy when you want to pull that much money out because you need something so bad.
That goes too quick. What? That goes too quick.
Now we gotta get this done. We're about time to go.
Go back.
Yeah, I can give my paper, Mr. Ebersole.
Sorry.
I can give him my paper to look at. That helps.
That's all right, I got to do that anyway. I appreciate it.
I need a haircut.
I'm gonna go to the land's mom.
No, I don't want to see the land's mom. I probably do kind of want to let her haircut.
I wanna go see Legends.
Alright, I got it.
No, you have better things to do, you don't hang out with them.
Oh, is that right?
Elijah's too busy. Cold start making like.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you smart.
My S10 always cold starts, it goes crank, crank, crank. Shut the key off, turn back on. Crank, crank, crank.
Way too short for you.
What is this? Oh man, Mr. Ebersole got some money. Got to see that money, that'd be a down payment on a house. That's about it. Dude, if I wanted to go to Virginia right now, there's houses selling cheap over there. But you know the problem is, they're all flood. Like, they're floodlands, they're freaking hills.
Alright, on this,
50,000
this is my actual check register that my records that I've kept. This front page right here is what I just got from the bank yesterday. Alright, so I went and got my bank statement yesterday. Now I've cut it off a little bit. It shows a whole lot more than this, but I'd already reconciled it or balanced it up to a certain point, and that was 6/22. That's where I stopped at last time. So what we're gonna do, and we're gonna do this together, and you can pull this apart if you want.
6.2.
That was 6/22 from last year.
You don't pull very much. You don't do a lot, do you?
No, this is the school's account.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not,
What's this, just pay for the supplies or something?
right, pays, if you look down through there, what's it say on page? Look on my part, what's it say on page?
Repay from OEA for overpay, NTE scholarships, bank paper fee, new teacher lunch, TG, retired teacher, gift card, new teacher.
So does everybody hear what Dylan's saying?
Yeah.
Look at this right here. This is my register, it's telling, and I gotta keep fairly good records so that if anybody else that looks at this knows that I'm not doing something stupid and taking the money, alright? So the first thing, I did something stupid on the first one, the 6/22. I wanna show you that I screwed up.
You didn't put a check number.
Cause it says repaid from OEA.
So you overpaid them.
So I overpaid him. I don't know. I wasn't thinking well at the end of last year. And I got 7 payments to make to OEA. Well, I made an 8th payment to them. And that 8th payment was like $9,000. So I made an extra payment and they had to pay me back. When I figured it out, I called them and I said, hey, I think I paid you an extra time. And they looked at our account and they said, oh yeah, you did. And they said,
Leave you in the calling.
yeah, that might have been. Somebody else might have been $9,000 richer.
Would it pay for this year though?
Right, it could have, but they said, what they told me when I called them, is that they couldn't hold on to $9,000, that was too much money.
That is crazy.
So they couldn't hold on to it for a whole year and have me, or, owe me $9,000 on their books, cause that would've messed up their stuff. So they had to reissue me a check and send it back to me.
There's a lot of money that comes out of this thing.
If you look down, NTA scholarship number 1, I didn't put the names on it. But last year we gave out 3 scholarships of $500.
With Miss,
And those 2 of them were there. And then if you look at check number 1091, what's check 1091 say? Void.
that means, you had a check out, but you didn't use it, right?
Right, that means I screwed up again. What I did this time was I wrote the check to the wrong person. And luckily, that person was honest, because it was the 3rd scholarship money, another $500, and that person called me a couple days later and said, hey, I didn't win this scholarship. Actually, their mom called me and said, hey, you didn't win this scholarship. And I thought, all right, we did then, and then a couple days later, I got the email from the person who actually won it saying, hey, how come I didn't get my scholarship money? Oh, that's why. So I messed up and then end up, a couple of days later, you see where it says 7-5, just a few days later, about a week later, I wrote the other check to the other person. The next thing down there, if you look, it says bank paper fee, $1. They charged me $1 that month.
So you can see the bank statement.
So they mailed, when they mailed me a bank statement. Then, new teacher lunch. You can
Pay
see
for all
this-
the teachers?
this- I paid for all the new teachers. So all the new teachers that are all over all 3 schools,
It costs $308, all schools.
but there was only what was it this year, like 7 new teachers? It's getting ridiculous.
Like this school building?
Yeah,
The teacher lunch isn't any different.
the high school,
Middle school,
middle school,
elementary.
and elementary.
I didn't know you guys did that, kinda cool.
Yeah, see, so when we hire in somebody new, at the start of the year, when those people get hired in, then we have a lunch before any of the students ever get here or anything. We
Make
have
sure they're
a
good
lunch
teachers.
for them to welcome them to our school. So I paid for that, that was $308, which I can remember when we used to do it, and it'd be like $100. And now it's up to $300 and some dollars, and it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Retired teacher plaque, each year we give out an award. If you look on the double doors as you go from the high school over to the big hallway for the elementary and middle school,
Yeah.
if you, right there by deputy, what's the deputy's name?
Officer Mason.
Officer Mason, right there by his desk, on that wall, there's some plaques up there. And each year we give out an award for a retired teacher or a friend of education.
Who
And that's
got-
what that's
Who
paid for.
got the retirement last year?
Mr. Swihart
Swihart.
got it this year, yeah.
Gift cards?
Gift cards, those also, they gave gift cards this year to each of the new teachers. I think there was only 5, I said 7, I think there was only 5 that actually could be part of the association. So there was like 7 new people in the building, but only 5 of them could join the union. So we gave out each one of them a $20 gift card. Stamps and mailing, I had to buy stamps, ran out of stamps, so I had to buy stamps, and then it cost me like $5 to mail stuff to Ohio Education Association. First direct deposit, that's the first money that they take out of all the teachers' checks and then deposit into my account, or into, quit saying mine, into this account,
The school account.
and that's to pay for all the dues and all this other stuff. Yeah.
So that's a good deal, we take the money out of your account.
And then the first payment, I think I mentioned to you guys just about a week ago, last week some point, I made the first payment to OEA. We talked about it last time, it was like $10,000. So that's what that is.
Holy crap.
My balance that I have right now on this account is this, and it's not gonna write very well on this.
6,235.
That's the balance that I have. Now, if we flip over to this one and look at it, this is what you're gonna have to do, and I'm not gonna be able to use that pen on it, I'm gonna have to use a black pen. When you're trying to reconcile this, what you have to do, and some of you, last time, were putting like the cents over here in this column, that's not what that column's for. That column that has a check on it, that's so you can check stuff off, so you know when you go back 2 months from now and start to do this again, what have you already accounted for and what haven't you accounted for? Because there might be a check, like the one $500 check, it just came through here not too long ago. The person hadn't cashed it because they hadn't started school. I shouldn't say not too long ago, it's been a couple months now, but it came through quite late because they kept the money and just gave it to the school for the school to cash. So it hasn't, they weren't checked off yet. So if we go down through this is mine, this is yours. On this, what you should do, it says NTA dues, $5,888. I look down through here, that's right here. Put a check right there.
Can we just rip it apart?
Yeah, rip it apart. So that checks that off, and that's all we're doing, we're checking off those things to make sure that we're matching up with what the bank has. Then we'll worry about adding it up, because you see the bank says that, what's it say, it says that we got $16,000 in the account, and I'm saying 6. Well, I got a meeting tonight with the association. If I go to them and I say, oh yeah, here's the bank statement, it says 16,000. Oh, my checkbook says 6. What are they gonna say to me?
You're an idiot.
Where's the other $10,000? And I have to say, oh, I had to pay off my car or something. So we just check each of these things.
1095.
Check 1096. That was this one, so they've got it, so we can check it off, it's been taken care of.
1090.
Check 1095's right here, check it off.
1093.
1094. Notice they keep them in order by check number, even if they didn't come into the bank in that order, they keep them in by the check number so that they can account for all of them.
1080.
1093, or no, they keep them in order by dates, I guess, on this. They used to keep them in order the other way. 1093. Notice that
Paper.
that one on here got cashed later than the other one. So the person that I wrote that check out to must have kept it for a while. 1092, that's on here, right?
622. Now we need dues national.
1093, we got 1092, 1094. Hold on, now I got lost. Which one am I on? I did 1092, 1093, we already got. Is that 1090? I got lost because it went backwards on me on that one. And then 1089, that was this other scholarship check, is right there. Paper statement, that's right here. So we've taken care of that. And then it says a deposit. What do you think that deposit was?
The first one.
That's this one. So we've checked everything on there except for what?
1097 a check.
This one here hasn't made it back to the bank yet. So to make sure that we're the same, what we're gonna do with that, my balance says $6,235.11. I think that's what it says, isn't it? What's the bank's balance say?
Altogether,
Yeah, the total.
12,330.
Look at the other one, because it goes backwards. It doesn't go down, it goes up.
16,246 and 84 cents.
How come there's such a big difference here?
84 cents.
The first payment.
A check hasn't gone through yet.
That check hasn't gone through yet, so to reconcile this is where I was talking about it might be a little different depending on which way you're doing it.
So it should be-
If I'm gonna try to match up to theirs, what would I do with my number here?
Subtract.
Subtract. Which
With
one?
my number, what would I do?
Add.
I would add on that check, 10,000, 1173. If I'm gonna do it from their number to match up to my number, what would I do?
You would subtract.
Then I would subtract.
That still ain't right. That wouldn't give you.
What's it come out to be? If I add these two, what's it come out?
Should come out to the balance.
Somebody add these two for me.
10, 0. You piece of junk.
14,246.
How much?
14,000.
Calculator right there.
$16,246.84.
16,246.
So that's what it should be. What the bank say that we have in there?
16,246.85.
No, it should be 84.
Is that just the interest they have?
That 85 should be 84.
Oh, it should be 84, shouldn't it?
You just put 5.
Right, 5.
Yeah. So we got it right.
So what's that tell us? When I go to my meeting today after school, am I okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as the money matches up.
And what I'll do now is when I have time today, since you guys have done this for me, I'll go through my actual checkbook back here. I'll put checks by all this stuff. I won't check off this last one. And I'll draw a line right here. And I'll put something like matches, bank, and I'll put today's date, 11/10, whatever. So that way, next time I look at it, I'll know, hey, I went through and checked everything out, and I'm okay up to this point. I haven't screwed anything up.
What happens if you like check all them off and then like a couple months later, you like make sure you got everything from, do you need to go back over where you checked everything off?
You should need to. Now, there's been times, 2 years ago, I was way off. For some reason, I don't know. I must have been high or something when I was doing it. I don't know what it was. So I was way off somehow, and I got to looking back at it, and what I figured out, there was an outstanding check. I'd written somebody a check, like, you see these checks right here where it's got TG and AE, PTO and JE. I wrote a personal check to that person to pay for this stuff, because it's easier that way. So like this one here, JE, I paid for it with cash and then wrote a check to myself to pay me back.
Interesting.
All right, this one here, one of the teachers, when they delivered the food, paid for it, and then I wrote them a check to pay them back. So, one of these, a couple years ago, the teacher had never cashed a check. And for like 4 months, I thought it was already out there, and I'm trying to balance up everything, and I'm like $340 off. And I would have figured it out, but the check was for like $342.50 or something. I'm just making up numbers. And I was off by like $342.07.
You didn't write it right?
And what happened is I was 43 cents off somewhere else. I'd subtracted wrong on something. But the check was still outstanding. So it was confusing me because I was thinking, well, if it was because of this check, I should be this amount off, not this amount. So something's wrong here. And I went all the way back through like 2 years worth of stuff and added it all up and stuff and figured out had subtracted wrong and it was 43 cents off somewhere.
That's what Grandma, she does the tax books, and she gets so ticked off because you can barely do one number wrong and get screwed up.
Yep. Yeah, it messes up everything then all the way down through.
Because she has to do it every month and do all the bills, and there's a lot of bills with the farm.
Yeah, and those you have to keep track of, and you have to, and it's a lot of trouble. So all the people that think, oh, you're just farming, you're just out there doing nothing.
Well, that's how Grandpa is, except when he does his bills.
I know.
He's never around when you want him.
They'll be around when you don't.
A guy I worked for when I was growing up had his own business. And he had a plumbing business and, well, plumbing and excavating. And he wasn't very good at it, keeping the books, and about once a year, you'd hear him cussing and yelling and stuff down the basement, and you knew not to go down in the basement. Because he was down there trying to figure out all his receipts and everything, and then one of the years he got audited by the IRS, and they, because he didn't keep good bills, or he didn't keep track of his stuff well. So it was like, he made $10,000 that year when actually he made like
Zero?
$500,000 that year.
Really?
Yeah, he was making,
Oh, he screwed it up that bad?
yeah, so IRS said, last year you made a couple of $100,000, this year you only made $10,000, what's going on here? So they audited him and he had to get all his bills and everything in line.
Write a little puke.
All right, this assignment's on 3 separate pages. I don't think any of these problems are all that real difficult, if I remember correctly. It's just different things, reconciling, dealing with ATM stuff,